Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast.
And here's your host, Jana, and her big brother, Jeff. Season 5. It seems like only yesterday it was just the end of Season 4. Okay, it only seems like a few months ago, and it was the end of Season 4.
It seems like years ago.
Have we even talked since
Is this our first episode?
Ever.
Right.
Welcome to the inaugural, apparently Season 5.
No.
We've been sleepwalking through this podcast, apparently, for the last 4 seasons.
I don't know. I think we've gotten complacent, maybe a little, because we are the 2023 IBWAA podcast video host of the year. And we just took some time off, and we still talk baseball, but we never even really talked about the show.
Isn't that what happens? They say with players, you get some recognition or you get that contract.
Yeah.
And then it all just goes to hell.
Yeah. So we'll see. Let's see how this goes.
And usually right before the first episode, we're back and forth more.
Yeah.
You were gone.
I was gone. I was, yeah. I had spring break. I was cruising in the Western Caribbean, holding a sloth.
Thinking about maybe relocating to Honduras.
Yeah, that'd be a tough
You could become good friends with Mauricio Dubon.
True, I could, but it is super hot there. It is so hot.
I've been. Not on a cruise. I've been like in the middle of the country.
Yes, I was on an island and it was so hot. Not even on the mainland.
Something about being closer to the equator, I think.
Yes, I think you got it.
Plays in that.
Yes.
All right. Well, normally we start the season on opening day. But because somebody decided that her posh life of going on cruises and being on vacation all the time was more important. Only one of us really could have done the episode there. But I did see through your post that you got to watch the Dodger game.
I did.
On opening day.
Yeah. In the summer landing on deck 8 of the Carnival Jubilee. I did watch that, so that was awesome. It would have been cool if we could have done the podcast, if I could have done it from the ship, but
there's probably a way, but it probably would have been way expensive, and we're a low budget, no budget podcast. And when we say opening day for the Dodgers, we mean the US opening day.
Yes, that's right, because the Dodgers and the Padres officially opened the MLB season in South Korea.
That they did. And we'll talk more about that when we get to the Dodger segment. If we get to the Dodger segment, who knows? We're going to talk a little bit about the Angels because lots of changes for both of these teams. Well, not as many changes for the Dodgers as with the Angels. But some things, and of course, we can't even get to talking about baseball until we talk a little bit about the drama, whatever you want to call it, with some stuff that's happened before the season. Or as the season was beginning. So, what do you say? We'll get to that. Oh, and by the way, while she was off on vacations, I was just here staring at my computer screen. Is it time yet?
When is season 5 starting?
When is season 5 starting? Not even when's opening day. When's season 5 start?
That's right. Well, it's starting now.
recap. When last we were here, we had a one-off extra special edition of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast, which, by the way, you can find on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
With the A. All right. And before we get too deep into this, we're hoping maybe to do a few different things we've never done before with season 5. You know, it's like, let's step out of our complacency and get hit by a truck. So we're going to do some of those things. So we'll let you know as those come along. But when we were last here, and if you happen to listen to that episode, that was Trout at Short was the name of it. And I guess that didn't really turn out, that Mike Trout was not moved to shortstop.
He was not.
But anyway, we were talking about the biggest thing that everybody was waiting for to happen, which was Shohei Ohtani's signing. And, you know, he signed with the Dodgers. He signed for, $700 million over 10 years, and the deferrals of $68 million a year, and all of the craziness that went along with that. And we thought, okay, it's all calmed down. Shohei's playing now. Everybody's over their jealousy of Shohei signing with the Dodgers instead of. And of course, we'll bring this up a little bit later, but that even came out. I think the term checkbook baseball was brought up, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But just as the Dodgers are ready to start the season, like I said, things seem to be settling down. They're figuring out what to do. The biggest worry the Dodgers have before the Seoul series is Yoshi Yamamoto. So they get the team together. They go, this is what we're going to do. Tyler Glass now is going to pitch over there. Great. All of that's great. And we'll talk all about that when we talk Dodgers. After the first game in Seoul, a bomb drops.
And there was a bomb threat at the stadium.
Are we sure that the one who dropped the bomb didn't call in the bomb threat to begin with?
Oh, that's a good question. I never even thought of that.
So
that makes total sense.
If everybody clears out, that's the big news. Nobody will pay attention to what I'm doing.
That's right.
So, and if you follow baseball, and even if you don't really,
you're going to know.
Shohei Ohtani's translator, Ippei Mizuhara, has comes out, a story that was being worked on by both the LA Times and ESPN into some gambling going on in Orange County, which is where the Angels are. And in California, sports betting is illegal.
Which surprised me. That really surprised me. Of all the things you can do in California.
Right. I think we're on the verge of approving, like Oregon did, the psychedelics or whatever you call them, magic mushrooms and things like that. So you'll be able to do that, but you can't bet on sports in California.
Yeah.
So they've got this illegal bookmaking. They're looking into that. The IRS is investigating. The feds may be involved. And through their investigation, they find that Shohei Ohtani's name pops up in there. Not necessarily his name undertaking or placing bets, but for paying this organization. So, and this is crazy, this way this story goes. And Joe Madden, who was right there in the middle of everything, was recently on one of the Athletic podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And he even was like, this is crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. It just seems kind of unreal.
So here's the deal. Apparently, bets were being made with this guy, this bookmaker there in Orange County. And Shohei's name comes up. When it comes up, now everybody that's around Shohei will tell you everything that happens with him happens through Ippei. And so Ippei, because he's pretty much the spokesman, not just the interpreter, but kind of his ipso facto spokesman.
Yeah.
So he says, here's the deal. I have a gambling problem. I play some bets on things other than baseball. Apparently he bets soccer. He bets, some college sports and stuff like that. But Shohei never did. He never asked me to place any bets for him. None of them on baseball. Got to keep that in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shohei, I went to Shohei and explained to him what was going on because I'd gotten into debt with them. And he paid off the debt for me. He wasn't happy about it, but he paid off the debt. So this story comes out. This will tell you how much everybody just believes Ippei and what he's saying. As far as they're concerned, they're so close. Maybe Shohei would do that, or they know Shohei enough to know he would take care of his friend that way.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But the problem with that is, and this is what I think led to a lot of people to speculate even in a more grand fashion, is that it could still come back against Shohei, because just by paying it off means that he basically contributed to the whole enterprise. Didn't have to do anything other than just say, yes, here's some money. Of course, well, not of course. The Shohei, well, in the locker room, Andrew Friedman in Seoul, by the way, Andrew Friedman and I think the president or CEO
like Stan
of Dodgers,
Kasten.
Stan Kasten, and Mark Walters, who's technically the main owner,
Right.
are there. Ippei gets up in front of the clubhouse and says, this story's coming out, or explains what the story is. And it was like, oh, okay. Shohei, when asked about it, Shohei said, I was there, but I don't, he still isn't, per Shohei, he's still not really proficient in English. And my feeling is that he's really good with, like anybody, that when you learn a language, you got the basics down, hi, hello, maybe
Right.
a little bit of banter and baseball terms.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought he knew more. I would have expected him to know more. I guess I over expected that. But he said he wasn't really paying attention and he didn't catch everything, but he caught enough to go, wait, something's going on here. He and Ippei, and I've read two different things where he said, hey, what's going on? Ippei said, and Ippei, I think this is what was I've seen the most. What's going on? Ippei says, we need to talk. And they go back to when they're going back to the hotel there in Seoul. And that evening, Ippei spills out to Shohei. This is the story I've told, but Shohei knows that's not the case, because for Shohei, who when they come back from Seoul reads a prepared statement on opening day or that morning and says, I didn't know anything. Actually, even at that time frame, a press release from, I don't know if it was from it was from his attorneys. And they say Shohei didn't know anything. And he's been a victim of major or massive theft, I think is how they put it.
Yes, massive.
That all
theft.
sound right so far?
It does.
All right. So all of that's going on. And of course, because everybody in baseball land hates the Dodgers, they hate them more than they hate any other team these days.
Yes.
Even the Asterisks aren't rising to that level of hate. And every single person said, oh, yep, here we go. The interpreter is going to take the fall. And Ippei said he does come back out later. They changed the story. He said Shohei really didn't know anything about any of it, and this was all on me. And the Dodgers immediately fired Ippei.
Immediately, he didn't even. I think he had to find his own way home.
Maybe
from Korea, because they said he was not on the plane going
well,
back.
you know, even if they paid for him to come back,
yeah, it would be uncomfortable.
You can't be on the same plane. And, you know, everybody says they were pretty much joined at the hip. I mean, Joe Madden said that everything, and even what he did, everything that he talked to Shohei about went through. In fact, he'd tell Ippei, and Ippei would tell him. He wouldn't even necessarily talk directly to Shohei.
Right. And I mean, they have known each other since Shohei was 18. That's a long time. So he was his, not just his interpreter, he was, I think, like his personal assistant. So it makes total sense to me that he had access to his, because he probably paid his bills. He probably, he did those things that a personal assistant would do. Shohei doesn't have time for that.
I know. I'm focused on being the greatest baseball player ever.
Exactly. But the interesting thing about Ippei too is that his background, it's come out that he said he graduated from University of California at Riverside. UCR came out and said, we have no record of a student.
He was never a Highlander as far as they're concerned.
Right. He was not. So right there, this shady, because he is saying, yeah, I was here. I have these credentials. I graduated. And there's like a chunk of time from when he graduated from high school until he becomes this interpreter that you really don't know where he is. No, there's no records of him. There's I think he got a speeding ticket. So, he was in Orange County. His parents.
He was at least speeding.
We know he was speeding.
Well, he grew up in Diamond Bar, which is right there, kind of where LA County, San Bernardino County, and Orange County all kind of meet right there. It's all real close. And I think Diamond Bar is technically LA County. But in addition to UCR saying he was never here, he also on his thing said he was the interpreter for a pitcher, a Japanese pitcher from the Red Sox, to which the Red Sox said, I don't think so.
Yeah, no. Well, in fact, the pitcher had failed a physical, and so he never even went to camp with the team. But he said, yeah, he was an interpreter. So, yeah, the Red Sox.
So maybe he was that guy's interpreter, just not with the Red Sox, because that's what it was with the Red Sox with this pitcher.
Right.
So
there's a lot of shady things. And I wonder, too, one thing that really, especially with what Joe Madden said, is he went through Ippei, didn't really, talk to Shohei. What was Ippei telling Shohei, and what was Ippei telling everybody else?
Well, that's the question now. And of course, everybody thinks that, Shohei, that they're protecting Shohei, that he's the one that's actually doing this.
Right.
I understand the questions. I understand how you would look at that. But here's one thing. Only people who don't make $50 million a year are constantly conscious of $500,000 going out of their account. The story about Shohei is when he played in Japan, he lived in the team dormitory the whole time he was with the team, professional,
Yeah.
and never touched his paychecks. He's focused on one thing. If I saw that, he was like, he came over and he was kind of like a Japanese playboy, or just anybody. I'm young, I got, all this money. A guy whose name's come up with some gambling issues, even with that guy, former Dodger Yasiel Puig. That's a
Right.
guy who showed up, got some money in his pocket, and bought a big flashy car and wore a lot of gold chains and looked like he had the swagger.
Right.
Shohei's either figured out his shtick is, I'm going to be the respectful, kind of timid field until I'm on the baseball field kind of thing. It's like everybody in the world, oh yeah, Shohei's guilty. Shohei's going to go. And then somebody said this might work out. They could suspend Shohei for 10 years and he'll still get the most of his money kind of thing.
Right.
Because it's all deferred. Everybody's got those jokes. Or Pete Rose. I was just one interpreter away from the Hall of Fame. And all of those things, they're funny. I laugh at them, but I also know that a lot of it is that people just don't want. He's too good to be true.
Yeah, that's why he's called the unicorn.
Something that stood out to me, not only because Joe Madden stuff was pretty recent, like within the last couple of days. Somebody that, one of the Angels sites that's a beat writer or somebody that's done, I think it's one of those like fan sites that's got some access, and they interviewed David Fletcher.
Right.
And this is like 2-3 years ago. It's 2024, so it was about 2021, I think, that they were talking about that. They're talking to him about it. There's nothing going on. Nobody knows anything about anything. And the reason that this guy reposted this was just to prove a point. Talking to David Fletcher about, his career, talking about all that. One of the questions he asked is about things that go on in the clubhouse. And Fletcher goes, yeah, we do this, we do that. Sometimes we have a poker game going. And the guy goes, who's the best poker player? No hesitation. He doesn't go, well, there's a couple of guys. He goes, Ipe.
Yeah, right there.
And completely unrelated to what's going on now.
Yeah. But also it's come out too that other that Japanese players who have been here in the States said when they were in Arizona, said, oh yeah, he would take us to the casinos and he would, show us how to gamble.
See, stuff like that. I'm not saying that Shohei's not capable of those things.
Oh, sure.
But it doesn't seem to fit into the character and the narrative that we've been fed. Obviously, we don't know all the inside. He's a pretty private guy. How long did it take before we even found out he had a dog?
Right.
How quiet was his up until the deal with the plane to Toronto? How quiet was all of that?
Well, and he at some point got married. Right.
And had he not told us, we would have never known.
And in Japan, he has to have, even you saw like in Korea, he had security. They all did, but he had, security around him. So that to me would be like him getting married. And especially because she is a former basketball player on the Japanese team. That would be like on the cover of People magazine, equivalent of in Japan.
Right.
And nothing. Because he's private. It's and yeah, so it just doesn't, like you said, it doesn't fit the narrative of Ohtani.
Also, talking about culture, from what I've read, if she hadn't been famous, there probably would have never been any kind of announcement as to who she was. Because they just stay in the background, and if she, but she's got some notoriety. She's not famous here per se, but in Japan, people know who she is. And she actually looked, from what I saw, because people have posted, videos of her playing basketball. She's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it seems like that's kind of died down at this point. We know there's investigations. We know stuff's going to come up, but eventually he came out, and instead of in that statement, he didn't take questions, but he came out, categorically denied all of it from his standpoint. I have never gambled on anything, let alone baseball. I've never placed a bet on myself. I've never placed a bet through someone else. It was an arranged statement, because he used terms I'm sure he wouldn't have normally used. But his bottom line was, I didn't do any of that. And I think deep down, most people know that's probably true. He didn't do any of that. But like I said, if you're jealous of everything, and that's what everything, we're just, everybody, it's easier to try to bring everybody down than it is to raise everybody up.
Oh yeah, it's a lot easier to do that. And then by doing that, you feel better about yourself or your team or whatever. The Dodgers have, so Will Ireton, I think is how you say his last name. He was Kenta Maeda's interpreter, and he stayed on with the Dodgers. He's actually the team's manager of performance operations, and he now is acting. He's actually Ohtani's new interpreter. But if you noticed, he's not always.
You
right
never
next
see him.
No, and he was very. I mean, he talks, but you see Shohei in the dugout talking to his teammates. Apparently, Teoscar Hernandez is teaching him Spanish. Kike Hernandez also said he sings songs to him in Spanish. But
nice.
So maybe having this, it's unfortunate, but maybe there was Ippei had a strong hold, and he was like, okay,
like you said,
I trust you. You know what you're doing.
Like you said, they met when Shohei was with Hokkaido.
Right.
And like you said, 18 years old, he meets him there. They go through, bring him here. He's gone through all the big adjustments with him. Mm-hmm. Before Shohei got a driver's license, he would drive him.
Right.
Ippei even said, I spend more time with Shohei than I do with my wife. I didn't even know he's married.
Yeah, I didn't either.
So, and I figured since he was always there, he wasn't, because he's married to his job kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, when you think about it, Ippei doesn't make that much compared to the world he's in. 85 grand-ish a year, I think, is what they said. Mm-hmm. And then to go back real quick to Ireton.
Yeah.
Will the Thrill, as they call him.
Yeah.
He was actually, not only was he Kenta Maeda's, but he was acting as Yoshi Yamamoto's interpreter. Even though with Ippei around, he could be that. But for the most part, he would cover because you can only have one interpreter in the dugout. Ippei would be there with Shohei. So if Yoshi was pitching, then he would act for both as need be. So, it's like not having that. Dave Roberts also said this could be a blessing in disguise. He's more interactive with his teammates, and hopefully that'll be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's things that for Shohei Ohtani, maybe it will be, he has to, I didn't say learn on his own. It's not that, but he kind of can be on his own without Ippei right there. And because I do wonder, what was Ippei saying to Shohei, and what was Ippei saying to, the management or the coaches or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah,
and
isn't it true that he announced at Angel, like when the Angels would play? Was he ever announced?
He's been introduced. Yeah.
Yeah, introduced, and he would get big applause.
Yeah. Almost
So-
as big as Shohei.
Yeah, because I mean,
No, he was
everybody
like a
knew
big
him.
part of the team. And,
Yeah.
I always thought that his name was Ipe,
Yeah.
but after all of this, I realized it's Ipe.
It's so bad.
I've been saving that too.
You're like, I got a good one.
Yeah. So,
I mean, things are going to play out. Major League Baseball has, started their investigation. I think that's more of a formality than anything.
well,
but,
the thing is, MLB has to do that because it was an employee of a team.
Right.
Ipe's not employed by Shohei. He was employed by the Angels. And then when Shohei left, the Dodgers hired him on.
Right.
Technically, Ipe, if they didn't had a need for him, could have stayed with the Angels. Just like Will Ireton. He was there as an interpreter there, found another job within, or they wanted to keep him, and gave him other things to do. And, so the question is, where's this all going to go? The one thing that I keep looking back at is everybody keeps saying, is Shohei too big to fail? Kind of using that term, like, businesses, they're too big to fail.
Right.
I mean, maybe for what he brings to the game in that, but if it comes out that he threw his interpreter under the bus, which doesn't seem likely, not because I'm an Ohtani fan, more because there's enough things that I'm seeing that show Ipe as having issues, that he's not lying when he says, I have a gambling problem.
Yeah. I totally believe that.
But if it came out to be that he threw him under the bus and Shohei was, I don't care how great Shohei can be, you have to, if that's the rules, if you're going to ban Pete Rose, who I know bet on baseball, but if you're going to ban him, and especially based on everything is sponsored by.
Oh yeah.
Some DraftKings.
So I was watching the Dodger game just last night, a couple of nights ago, and every other commercial was FanDuel, DraftKings I think DraftKings has Big Papi as a spokesperson. I mean, obviously he's retired now, but so FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM,
right?
So it was like every other commercial, those three, and go on the MLB app, and do this and do that.
The Dodgers after the post game show brought to you by San Manuel, or
That's
now
right.
Now Yamava, which is a casino.
Yeah. Well, and in Arizona, where the Diamondbacks play, at Chase Field, you can place a bet. They have a window. So I think.
And I know you brought up Papi, of course, being retired, but didn't you tell me that Charlie Blackmon?
Yes, he has a sponsorship with a. I don't know the name of
is it local there to Colorado?
It might be a local to that area, but yeah, he has a sponsorship. So I think obviously if a player, a member of an organization, whether they play, they work, whatever, and you're betting on baseball and anything like that, but I think is wrong. But baseball needs to just come out and be upfront about their merging with gambling and sports bets. I mean, here in New Mexico, I think it's been a couple of years, but you can now go, they made it legal. So you can go and place, sports bets at the casinos and stuff here. So it's a big deal. I mean, they're betting on, you've got March Madness going on.
Right.
But it's getting out of control too. I mean, I think you've got younger 18 to 22-year-olds, I think right now comprise the highest number of people doing online betting, gambling. So there has to be, I don't know, there's got to be something. We could be causing an epidemic in the country with sports betting.
Maybe so. I don't know. I was just thinking about a commercial, Charlie Blackman on there. I can't bet on sports, but if I did, Rocky Mountain High Casino would be my go-to.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, totally. It would totally
can't do it, but you can.
You can.
Charlie Blackman special at
That's right. The nasty.
That's right. You can do the nasty trifecta at Rocky Mountain High Casino.
That's right. Yeah. So this story is gonna, like you said, it's kind of died down somewhat. But if something comes out, within the investigation or anything like that, we'll keep a lookout for it. Of course, it'll be everywhere, but.
Right. Yeah. We won't need to tell you anything if you just happen to look at X, because this is like big news.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully, if they're going to do it, be thorough and be fair.
Yeah.
If he did do something that he shouldn't have done, even if he does say, well, you know what, I did give him $500,000. I don't fault him for giving him money if they were that close.
Mm-hmm.
But now that he's denied it, he needs to just continue to deny it. But if it comes out,
yeah,
then just accept it, move forward, see what happens. Look what happened to like Bill Clinton. He denied. When it came out, he went, all right, yeah, I did it.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. I mean, acts of contrition work well. People are willing to forgive,
mm-hmm.
but they want you to at least admit what you were doing. Unlike
Trevor Bauer, who continues to, sue everyone. And, he's trying to get back into the MLB, but, it's not.
Funny because all the people who are, having issues with Shohei and how he in his thing and that he's guilty are all saying now, Trevor Bauer why are you blocking him? He's innocent. Nobody said he was innocent. Oh, but they saw that. No. If you remember very carefully, Trevor Bauer said he did not pay any money. However, an insurance company paid her some money.
Right.
The MLB, if there was nothing there, I mean, they did knock down the arbitrator, knocked down his suspension. And the Mets, who need pitching help badly, aren't willing to take a shot on him. They're willing to hire or to go out and sign Julio Teheran, who didn't even pitch in 2022, had a pretty decent beginning of the season with last season and then fell off. And then Baltimore didn't even keep him. And they would rather sign him than Trevor Bauer. And
right.
the things is that as far as the San Diego thing goes, the girl in San Diego, it's clear she was setting him up and she was trying to get money out of him.
Well,
and she said,
oh yeah. I mean, she said it as much. And we said that on this podcast. I think I know we did. This is suspicious. But Trevor Bauer was stupid. it's like you're at this level. Why are you chatting or whatever, messaging on Instagram with someone you don't know? And they're going to drive up from San Diego. I mean, it just, yeah.
And, on the one side, when you first look at that story, her coming up that's not unlikely because,
Right.
ooh, this baseball player wants me to, and he's a well-known, well-paid baseball player.
Right.
And in some cases, you would think her motivation is that she'd like to meet up with him and maybe become Mrs. Trevor Bauer or something of that, or a longtime girlfriend or something. That was at no point what was going on with him and her.
No.
And that's the thing. But at no point did it was ever, just because they didn't file charges or choose to not go forward, doesn't mean that they didn't feel like, hey, we could. Their witness's credibility was more at issue because of the other things that she did that were, so the fact that he still wants to play, that's fine. His desire is fine. But the fact that he goes out there and says, like, hey, he went on to, what was it, Fox News or something like that, and you felt that he was sincere. I wasn't as
I mean, sure. I felt like he, in all of the interviews, he seemed more willing to be like, yeah, I screwed up. This shouldn't have happened. But he didn't say that. But it seemed he was on the verge. But yeah, right. I still don't like him.
He just, it's not that maybe he doesn't deserve a second chance, but he needs to maybe just get out of the public eye and stop, poking out there every once in a while as if somebody's going to forget about him. That's exactly what he needs. Everybody forget about him. And then one day he's pitching and they go, we really need some help. Nobody knows him anymore. Let's get him.
Yeah. Yeah, because he made a big deal. He was on like and it was a Japanese, it's a team called the Asian Breeze. And it's made up of, former MLB, our players and that are players that want to be like a showcase in a way.
Right.
And he was part of that. They played against the Dodgers, but the minor league players.
Yeah, he was playing against mostly single A and double A players.
Right. And so he was pitching, and now we find out, he's signed with a team in Mexico. So
I think honestly, appropriately enough, it was like a Diablos or something like that.
Oh.
So
that'd be perfect. But so yeah, I agree with you. I think he needs to just go away, be out of the public eye, and continue to pitch, do whatever, and then let people forget about you, and then come back. Another one that we still have no idea what's going on is Julio Urias. I mean, we know that I think they said no charges are going to be filed. Right. Well, but it's still going through the process. So, and nothing from MLB yet.
Right. So that's what we're more waiting on. Nothing's going to happen with LA County.
Right.
But what's MLB going to do? And then it sounds like he may be on the verge of signing with a team in Mexico as well.
Yeah, which
makes more sense than Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer is just going to play wherever he plays, where whoever will take him. I think he wants to be in Mexico versus going back to Japan, so that if somebody does want him, he's not that far away.
Right. Well, another thing too is that when he pitches, he just needs to pitch. Instead of doing his sword thing, because he did that in Japan, instead of doing all the theatrics, just pitch. Because I think that adds to his unlikability.
Yeah, his persona is a negative one.
Yeah. So
so much. But at least we have real baseball to talk about
yes.
After a long winter. that saw players not get signed till late. We'll talk about all of that in the first Around Baseball of the season. But before we do that,
it's time for Dodger Baseball.
So the Dodgers are at it again, 2 in Seoul. And of course, like normal, they start the regular season, with the exception of those 2 one-off games, at home. Rumor is they may be starting the season next year in Japan.
Yeah, I heard that. That's crazy.
But of course, everything that happens now is, what did Shohei do? And it's kind of nice, actually, because it's really allowed the guy who hits in front of Shohei, who everybody thought was going to be having a bad year because of what happened there. So before we get to that, though, let's talk a little bit about what the Dodgers did. We know, they signed Shohei. They went out and spent, we know they had the $1 billion winter because
Yes.
they signed Shohei, and then between 2 Japanese players, $1 billion. 700 to Shohei, 325 to Yamamoto. Then they trade for Tyler Glasnow, and they also got Manuel Margot in that, who they traded off.
Mm-hmm.
But they did that, and they signed Glasnow to an extension. That was part of the way the deal had to work. He either signs an extension or we're not trading for him. They picked up Teoscar Hernandez, re-signed Kike.
Yeah, fan favorite.
And then, some other little moves. They picked up James Paxton.
Mm-hmm. They re-signed Ryan Brazier, which I was happy about.
Right. And so overall, the team doesn't look that much different than they did in the past. Jason Hayward, another one that was picked up, re-signed.
Yeah.
And of course, James Outman's still there, and a lot of the familiar faces, Max, so overall, the biggest questions is the pitching staff, what to expect. Pretty much right now, Tyler Glasnow started out the season. He was the first when they went to Seoul. He started that one. Yoshi started number 2, the second. Glasnow looked good. Yamamoto did not.
Yeah, and the sky fell in Dodgerville because it was like, I can't believe that they signed him
for all that money.
And he gives up 4 hits, 5 runs. He pitches 1 inning, comes out of Korea with a 45 ERA.
Well,
45.
Even before that, in spring training,
Yes.
he was having some issues. And Rick Monday I thought he was going to have an aneurysm. He was just going to blow a vessel.
He was
because
crazy.
He's tipping pitches.
You can see what he's going to throw. I can see it.
Because you got a camera angle that allows you to see closer into the mitt. Everybody else has got to look a little closer.
Right.
Not to say that he wasn't. It was just like, why are you so loony about this? You're going to turn yourself into Charlie Steiner.
Yeah.
If you keep this up.
Well, maybe they took some of he had to take a pay cut for Yamamoto's salary.
Maybe.
Okay, Rick Monday.
So, you go there, but the offense was huge in that second game.
Yeah.
Had he pitched a little better, he'd have got a win.
Yeah.
But alas, he does not. So they come back home. They play the Freeway Series, which is not regular season. They got to take a break from the regular season. And then they start the season at home versus the Cardinals.
Yeah.
And who was on the mound for opening day?
Tyler Glasnow.
Exactly, because he had had enough rest.
Yes.
So Tyler Glasnow was a 2-time opening day starter for the Dodgers. And which is fun because he only did it in one season. He did that. And the Dodgers come out looking good versus the Cardinals. And if you remember earlier, I mentioned checkbook baseball.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Michaelis.
Like, yes, Miles.
Michaelis. Now, some people say he was probably just being funny because he's a jokester. Apparently, I don't know anything about him.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've known his name. I've never really seen pitch, but he said they were playing checkbook baseball, and that while there, he admitted that they had a high payroll as well, because the Dodgers have the 9th highest payroll. The Cardinals are 10th.
Yeah.
He goes, but and the reason that people think he was joking is because he said, that we're going to go out to beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good, but the whole checkbook baseball thing. And then we're just a bunch of Midwestern farmers who are going to give it our all. That's why people thought that he was joking and that he has that type of sense of humor. The Dodgers went out and showed him what they thought of his sense of humor.
Yeah.
And thumped him.
Yeah, he only lasted like 4 1/3 innings, something like that. Gave up
better than the Angels pitchers in their opening game.
It's true, but he gave up 5 earned runs.
Yeah,
so
he got roughed up.
He did.
And overall in that series, the Cardinals got roughed up.
Oh yeah. I mean, that first game, Dodgers win 7-1. Tyler Glasnow looks, really good on the mound, and 5 strikeouts, went 6 innings, which is, I think, is important. And we've talked about this, and a lot of people talk about this, is the changing of the starting pitcher and how it's who's going to start. And that's what people would look for. Who's the starting pitcher? I'm going to go to that game. And now you don't know, because it could be a bullpen game, because maybe they decide to give the person who was the pitcher that was supposed to start, they give them an extra day of rest. So then you show up and it's a bullpen game. It's still a ball game and you're going to enjoy it, but it's not quite the same.
Right.
As like the first time I remember going to Arlington, and Dad, was like, okay, we're going to go. And we got tickets, picked him up at will call, and realized Nolan Ryan was pitching that night. Mm-hmm. We had won the lottery, it was
right.
Like, and that kind of, stuff. That's the stuff you will remember. But yeah, starting pitching, totally different now. So we'll see. With you got Tyler Glasnow as the number 1 starter, and then Yoshinobu as number 2. And he had an interesting game, because that game was crazy. In the second, was it the second game? No, the second game was not Yamamoto, which you would have thought. It was Bobby Miller who pitched, and he goes out on the mound, has 11 strikeouts, a career high. He looked very reminiscent of Walker Buehler, right down to the tight pants that, Walker Buehler wears. So does Bobby Miller. And it was like, wow. This guy, he's a good pitcher, and he's homegrown. He's not, they didn't, it's not coming from, they didn't buy him. But he looked great. And then it was the next night, the Dodgers lose, but Yamamoto is on the mound. And this was a crazy game. There was a rain delay in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
The grounds crew didn't even know how to put the tarp on the field. They were struggling.
Not surprised.
No. I wonder, when has that tarp, how often has that tarp come out on the field? Not very often. So
yeah, no, that's a rare thing.
Yeah, and then there was a balk, Joe Kelly balk, but nobody knew what happened.
He didn't stop.
He didn't stop, but at first they thought that Max Muncy, there was an interference at third base, and everybody's like,
Yeah,
what?
that was the weird thing.
It
So
was so
that
weird.
that game was totally lost in that inning where Joe Kelly came in.
Oh yeah, no, that was
And
disaster.
I don't necessarily blame it all on Joe Kelly, because Will Smith had a catcher's interference call, put somebody
Yes.
on the plate, and then they hit him, pretty well, where it got past. It got past. It hit it right where they needed to. They hit singles. They hit a double. They got people on base, and he just wasn't working then. And then that balk didn't help.
Right.
I think that, and it's funny because, even though Dave didn't throw him under the bus, didn't say he pitched bad, just like some bad luck and some things there. And yes, it was the right call on the balk. When he came out, if you've done a good job and he's happy with you, Dave will pat you on the back and, yeah, way to go. He came out. He didn't even look at Joe. He just took the ball from him, and Joe just walked in. And I felt bad for Joe, because it's like, I'm always rooting for Joe.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that was a tough inning to watch. And
It was.
And they even tried to come back.
They did.
But it just didn't come to be. The one thing that we can say, as far as what's happening with the Dodgers, the Dodgers go into U.S. opening day 1-1. They had split the series with the Dregs. They end up taking 3 of 4 from the Cardinals, and then the Giants come to town.
Right.
And at the point that as we normally do, we try to do everything week to week. The Dodgers have taken 2 from the Giants.
They have.
And while we're recording, they're playing, so we don't know what's going on there. But there's been one thing, the top 3 guys started off pretty strong. I mean, Mookie, Shohei, what is it? The MV3, they call them.
Yeah.
Mookie, Shohei, and Freddie, all MVPs. They've all had some hits, timely hits. Of course, Shohei's had a couple times. It's like, oh, here, biggest moment of Shohei's Dodger career, and he pops up. Bases were loaded. He pops up. Things like that are going to happen. But when Shohei gets going, I mean, he had 115-mile-an-hour double off.
Right, which is the hardest hit ball in like Dodger history.
Yeah. So
StatCast.
For everybody that thinks that because there was a little bit of issue, Yoshi showed in his first U.S. start. And I'm not one to necessarily make a lot of excuses. I'll make excuses sometimes for people. Yoshi, I didn't realize this, but in Korea, he warmed up and then had to sit for like 30 or 40 minutes because they had, I don't remember who it was, but some K-pop group.
Oh.
That they did a show. It was, and I'm not sure. I can't remember any of the names. The one that I did know. But that's what. So he ended up waiting. So it
like
took him
BTS
out of that.
or something.
Yeah, it wasn't BTS.
No,
but it was some name I
that's
heard.
the only one I know.
But what they, he wasn't. In that case, he wasn't Butter, because of having to, So he had to wait all that time. Threw him off of his normal routine, and then you figure you're playing in Seoul, you're closer to home. I don't know if there were people there to see him. It's his very first game with the Dodgers in Major League Baseball. It's not like he's playing the Padres. It's not like he's playing a team and pitching against a team that's much better than any team he ever played with in Japan, or against in Japan. But he comes out, pitches really well, and I think for the moment, silences the critics. all it's going to take is a bad outing, and they're going to get right back on. I was just waiting. I knew this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Not ready. But he has a good outing. Tyler Glass now. He's already on his third start in this Giants series.
Yeah.
What in the world? So the Dodgers look like the Dodgers. The question will be for them, obviously, is the same question as every year. Can they get beyond the first series of October?
That right, exactly. And I think for me, I had people that I talked to, about baseball, and they were like, "Oh, wow, you have everybody. Your team has everybody." And I'm like, "Yes, but my deepest fear is postseason baseball and nightmares about it, because it doesn't matter that you have Mookie, Shohei, Freddie, and then Will Smith. But the top three guys, MVPs, and then you have Will Smith, but then down the line, and even Teoscar Hernandez, who hit in one of the games, he hit 2 home runs. Max Muncy is figuring himself out again. He's becoming old, but you have a lineup, but that doesn't mean just because you can win during the regular season, postseason baseball is so different. And also the way, will they win? If they win the West, is there going to be a bye? Are they going to change that? Are they going to change the length of days? How is that going to affect things? If they don't, but they're wild, do you want them to be a wild card? I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's going to be a great season. Oh, but the postseason,
Right.
That's the scary. It's too much. There's too many variables.
Right. Too many questions to be answered at that point. And honestly, I feel like there's still a piece missing. I will say that obviously it's only one start, but James Paxton didn't look too bad.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't even know who he was. I saw the number. I'm like, who's that? And they showed his face. Who's that? And then finally I was like, oh, that's Paxton.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. They had signed him. Yeah.
They still have, they still have some things. Brustar Gratterall is on the 60-day, I think, now. So,
right.
You've got that. And we'll talk Will IL, in a little bit. But
I was going to say, we'll talk a little bit. I can talk a little bit about the IL, just the Dodgers, in particular, the pitching staff. Walker Buehler. He's doing some rehab starts, but is he going to come back, or is he just going to be, when is he coming back? Clayton Kershaw.
Well, we know Clayton Kershaw is like a June, July
right.
kind of guy. At
Dustin
least we
May.
have that idea. Dustin May's just like the clubhouse boy.
Yeah, at this point. And then Tony Gonsolin. He's just out there, people are like floppy hat and glasses. It's like he wears glasses. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe he needs to wear those glasses when he pitches. I don't know. And I've always liked Tony Gonsolin, but it's just a good, these are all these pitchers that are on the IL, and they've been there for a while,
Conceivably, if you're the Dodgers, you feel like you're in a good spot.
Oh yeah.
Your rotation looked pretty good. They did have, I guess, a quasi bullpen game.
Yes.
And then, but you've got to like the idea that if everybody comes back healthy and is 3/4 of what they were before,
mm-hmm.
you now have what you would want, the backup. You got Kershaw who can come in and, maybe even if, put him in as a starter, but if he's not doing well, or your starting rotation is doing so well, pitch him out of the pen. Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, these are all guys who, but somebody's going to have to go for those guys to come back.
Right.
And some of those guys are going to have to go to the bullpen.
Mm-hmm.
Walker Buehler, if he were to come, I don't think we see Walker Buehler until late in the season.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, he's doing some rehab starts in Oklahoma City, but he's still not gonna come back and like, how you have a rehab start and then you're gonna pitch the next day or in the next week or whatever it may be. It's not going to be like that. And then of course he's going to be limited. They're going to limit the pitch count.
Right.
So
in stretches where they have a lot of games, no days off, having a sixth starter or having some other people avoid, straight out bullpen games, they're in a spot for that now.
Well,
they
I
don't
think,
have to rely so much like in the past. Remember, there were times last year where you had like a couple of bullpen games in a row.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think you also have like the fifth starter is Gavin Stone, and I think he's really grown a lot as a pitcher. He's looked good.
Yeah, he didn't look too bad the other day either.
Yeah. So, and then Michael Grove, who was part of the bullpen game, was able to come in. I think he only pitched like an inning and 2/3 or something like that, but giving him that experience either out of the pen or as a spot starter, which they have done before. Ryan Pepio, they don't have him anymore. He was traded. So, but they still have some guys. Oh, Ryan Yarbrough also.
Right, who he was part of that bullpen game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw, just thinking about players that used to be there, Caleb Ferguson pitching for the Yankees had a decent outing the other day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think for the Dodgers, the pitching, and this can be said for a lot of teams, pitching is always, I think, is going to be an issue. However, that this season, it seems to be more solid. Whereas last season, like you mentioned, multiple bullpen games in a series.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean, but seeing Bobby Miller come out, the intensity that he showed, that was great to see. Hope he can continue that. Tyler Glasnow, he just looks like he should have always been a Dodger.
Yeah.
I mean, he's from the local area.
He's from Santa Clarita.
Yeah. And I mean, and they were talking to Clayton Kershaw the other night, Oral Hershiser, Joe Davis on the broadcast, and they were like, they asked him, who's better looking, you or Tyler Glasnow? And he was like, well, he's a pretty good looking guy. So, but he also said that he needed a haircut and a shave. So, I don't know.
That's his look. Got to leave him alone. He's pitching good. Leave him alone.
Yeah. Well, no, Clayton Kershaw said that about himself, that he needed a haircut.
He needed a haircut and a shave.
Yeah, and then maybe
when you're pitching good, you don't need it either. But maybe you do, because you've been sporting those things and you've had some bad outings and injuries. Get rid of it all. Clean it up, and maybe you'll look new, look sharp, pitch sharp. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, so Dodgers have looked good against the Giants. They had a very convincing win, 8-3 in that first game. You mentioned James Paxton. He pitched 5 scoreless innings, did give up 5 walks, but 5 scoreless innings. That's something that the Dodgers haven't seen in a while, comparing last year. And then Teoscar Hernandez has been such a great signing. He only signed for a year. He got other offers for multiple years from other teams, but he said he wanted to play for the Dodgers. So, and he's been really good. So that's a good signing. And I think one that maybe people forget about, that they're thinking of the multi-year deals. Will Smith they just signed Will Smith to a 10-year, $140 million extension or contract, long-term contract. So he's going to be, I mean, he looks like he's 19, but he's going to be 39 at the end
of his
of this.
extension.
Extension.
Well, that was a good signing. You lock him up, even if eventually he becomes a DH.
Yeah.
He's a guy you definitely want to have around.
Well,
He's been solid for him.
and he has been. And mentioning the DH with Max Muncy, he had his issues defensively, but I think it's been really good for him because obviously they signed Shohei. He's going to be the DH. That's a given. And Max Muncy, I wonder at some point thought maybe he could just be the DH. And now he knows, and he has come out and said, there's no place for anyone in the DH role. I have to do better. And he has. He, just, got himself more fit over the off season, was out there taking, grounders all the time, before the game. Off season, he was doing that because he realized I want to be here in LA, but I have to show that I want to be here, and I have to show that I can be here. And, he hitting that home run, the go-ahead home run in the Cardinals game. I was like, that's Max Muncy. That's the Max Muncy, the funky Muncy, that we all know and love. So there's a lot of good things, I think, happening for the Dodgers, not beyond signing Shohei Ohtani. Like a different mindset, too, with the players.
Well, there has to be, or else they're not going to make it beyond. They got to realize what they're playing for, and what they're playing for is not 100 wins. What they're playing for is to make it to the playoffs, whatever level, and then to advance to the World Series. The Dodgers, like I said, are finishing up with San Francisco. Or by the time you hear this, they will have just finished up with San Francisco. Can tell you that Shohei, first home run as a Dodger, and so he's got that monkey off of his back. He can pick it up from there. And then the Dodgers, as soon as they're done here, or tomorrow, depending on when they do, or today.
Yeah.
However they're going to go, they're going to be heading to Chicago to take on their old buddy Belly.
Yeah.
So they've got 3 in Chicago before they head up to Minnesota for another 3. So there might be a chance that, depending on how weather goes, that might see some postponed games or delayed games.
I think
because of weather. Although it's from talking to people in those areas recently, there's not, it's been unusually, unseasonably not snowy or,
not necessarily warm, but just
not cold like it normally had been.
Right.
So,
well, because last year when they played in Minnesota, it was, I think, maybe even snowed a little.
Right. So
and I still don't get why there's not a dome in Minnesota. Like, why did they build that?
They used to.
Right. And then they're
like, Metrodome, but nope. Yeah. Well, before that, they didn't have one. And Rod Carew won, batting titles there. So.
Well, maybe they're like every other stadium.
Yeah. Something. Anyway.
I don't know.
So that's it. The Cubs and the Twins coming up. We'll be talking about them, later. Plus, we'll talk more about what's happening with the Giants. So we'll do Giants and Cubs next week. Twins after that, and then they come back. They come back home to play a couple more versus the Padres on a fairly decent linked homestand.
Yeah.
All right. So honestly, I wasn't sure about Player of the Week, and you asked me if I would have one.
Right.
And I think we're probably going to end up in the same place because honestly, Player of the Week, Player of the Month. He's done. Who said it? I think maybe Rick Monday or somebody said, "Oh yeah, he had a a pretty good month this week.
Yeah.
I think that's how he said it. We're talking about the one, the only, the guy who everybody thought was going to, and we didn't talk about that.
We
but
didn't.
We'll talk about it now.
Yes.
So well, I'll just say it. Player of the week, Mookie.
Yes, Mookie Betts. There's no no contest there. Mookie
And
Betts.
we'll give you some numbers just to give you a reason why. But so Mookie coming into second base, that was announced a lot. We may have even talked about it. That was announced before Shohei, I think, showed up. They were moving him to second base full time.
Mm-hmm.
During spring training, Gavin Lux, at the beginning, they gave him a lot of room.
Yeah, they always give him a runway.
Energy. Yeah, gave him a lot of runway coming off of that. But at some point, you could see anytime you saw the games, the spring training games, every time that something happened, Dave would be shaking his head because Gavin Lux couldn't throw the ball. Seemed like he had a case of the yips. It wasn't quite that bad, but errors, couldn't get a hit. Or very rarely could he get a hit. So they move, because he's not going to do anything at shortstop, they move him to second base. Mookie, who had 16 games at shortstop all last season with the Dodgers, they move him there. He's been all-star caliber at shortstop. Not that he isn't already, but all-star caliber there. And then honestly, he's been carrying the team. When I saw one game where he was actually 0 for 4, I was like, what?
I know.
He had, like, in a 4-game span, I think only Babe Ruth had done what he did.
That is correct.
And
you are correct, sir.
He has, he's batted over 500 for most of the start of the season here. He's got 5 home runs on the season, 11 RBIs. Like I said, that's a month's worth of work for some guys.
Yeah.
He did all this here, and we're not even we're just now through a full week of baseball. Obviously, well, he had the 2, but he played well in Seoul as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they came back here, and with the exception of that one game, he's contributed every single game.
Yeah.
His on-base percentage is like 600. 350 is a good on-base percentage. People are like, ooh, he's got a 350 on-base percentage. 605. He's on base 60% of his at-bats.
Yeah.
It's just been crazy. His OPS plus, if you remember from the past, we've talked about it. If you don't already know, 100 is average. His current OPS plus, 353. He's 353 points better than anybody else in the league.
Yeah.
Nobody's touching Mookie. And if anybody thought that there was something, now I'm sure he's going to have some low points along the way. But if he stays healthy and everything, MVP. It'll be his national. He'll get that National League MVP.
Yeah.
His American League MVP.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he also, in addition to moving to shortstop, they do give Miguel Rojas some playing time, especially I think it's when they're facing left-handers. And he plays second. So he just shifts over. Mm-hmm. And we know he bowls. He is an excellent bowler, has bowled multiple 300 games. He has now picked up a new sport that he plays with his wife. He now plays pickleball.
I'm not that impressed with that. Everybody plays pickleball.
But
that's like a senior game. Is he preparing
maybe
for
the
retirement?
Swing.
Maybe.
The swing.
Or that maybe that's been it. If he's been playing pickleball, maybe you're right. Because you could be worried. Will that throw you off or will that make it better?
Yeah. And if pickleball is making it better, you keep playing pickleball.
Do what you got to do.
That's right.
As far as that goes. All right. So Next week, we'll get a little more in depth on some of the things. We want to look at overview. What we're seeing. We're seeing the Dodgers come out looking like they're in mid-season form.
Yeah.
We're going to, the sky's going to fall. They're going to lose, 2 or 3 in a row, and everybody's going to lose their minds. And then it's going to become 6 in a row. And then they'll turn the ship back around and everybody will be fine.
Well,
So we're going to overreact.
Always.
Just like we're going to do in the next segment. Big changes in Anaheim, where the Dodgers added Shohei, the Angels subtracted Shohei. So no more Shohei Ohtani. Changes the complexion of the team. It really gives them more flexibility in things because just like the Dodgers are finding, just like you mentioned Max Muncy saying, there is no spot. You can't run through the DH because the DH is taken. That's a full-time spot. And even last year it kind of was with JD Martinez. And then once he starts, Shohei starts pitching, he's still going to hit.
Right.
So, there's that. And, I don't think Max is going to have a problem with that because Shohei's a great hitter. The Angels now could go out and get a DH. They could have went and signed JD Martinez. They didn't. They probably could have used a frontline starter with a little veteran experience. They didn't.
No.
For most of January and February, they kept being tied to one of the free agents that didn't get signed till late that we thought would have been signed a lot earlier. And of course, everybody's thinking that the world's going to change immediately because Ron Washington is the new manager. Well, guess what? No matter how great Ron Washington is and how hard of a worker he is and what kind of what he expects from his teams and the infield coach and defense and the magic that he can create, he can't, with that magic, he doesn't have a wand that's going to allow him to change the fortunes of the team. Even Perry Manassian has said in recent meetings and things that the Angels are in a transition year. We're not in a rebuild per se, but we are in a transition year. Even Joe Madden from the same podcast we're talking about, just as a note, said that he thinks that it's time that Mike Trout be ready and to have a conversation about being traded.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. Mike came out and said, this is where I want to be because it's a challenge to try to make it to the playoffs. I've been here so long. I'd like to make it to the playoffs here.
Yeah. I get that.
So, there's those questions. There's the questions of, is Anthony Rendon going to be healthy? Is he going to care even if he is healthy? I mean, there's all those things. How are the pitching staff? Will Barry Enright, the new pitching coach? So we got a million questions and everybody's ready, from the get-go, just like Shohei and all of the changes the Dodgers make. When they fail, everybody's ready to jump on those. When Ron Washington starts the season, if it's anything other than winning or like really close games, everyone's going to go, oh, I thought he was the greatest.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was going to change everything. The Angels over the off season, they signed a lot of bullpen help, which they needed. But that's the one problem that I've always had with Perry Manassian. With the exception of the 1 year that he drafted nothing but pitchers, I was okay with that because you just needed a lot of pitchers.
Yeah.
He focuses on one area and everything else gets neglected. We've got a team that, a lot of people say, hey, that the Angels have a bad farm club. But when you think about it, they may not be ranked high, but they've had some great prospects. Nolan Schanuel called up a month after he was drafted. Zach Neto, 1 year after being drafted. He's playing in the major leagues, whereas the season before he was playing in the College World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Or the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's got the players. You've got a guy who's got to be uber motivated. I still am not sure what he's going to do, but Joe Adell's out of options. You have to play. The Angels go and sign Aaron Hicks, who had a pretty decent season with the Baltimore last year. I'm sure after they started the season there, he may have been thinking, I wish I would have been still in Baltimore, because the
Right.
Orioles look really good.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that in a second. But there's just so many things. But the one thing that comes out of it is like, oh, Ron Washington is the savior. And
Oh,
even
yeah.
Ron Washington said it's going to take some time.
Trust the process.
That's right. Trust the process. So they put it together. At some point in spring training, he moves Anthony Rendon to the number 1 spot, and Rendon's been the leadoff hitter. Last I checked, Rendon, what was that batting average? I think I saw 0. Is that what I saw?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Yes, you are correct. 0.
Here it is, because they played 2 series. They finished up earlier on Wednesday. So they go in, and that's 7 games. Well, he didn't play in one of the games. I think he got the day off today.
Okay, but he still has.
I think he
0
got the day
hits.
off on Wednesday. Yeah, he still has 0 hits in 6 games.
Yeah. So I mean, baseball really is not.
Mike Trout's got like 3 home runs
priority.
now. Comes out strong. Taylor Ward, I think, has 3 home runs now.
Well, and Mike Trout had a home run that so far this season is the furthest hit home run. It almost, I think, went out of the stadium.
There
through
in
a
Baltimore,
window.
yeah. 487, 487 feet. So
Well,
let's
Yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. And then the one at Lone Depot
Oh, right.
Field, which is like 473 or something, but it almost
Oh, maybe
went.
I got those mixed up.
Yeah, I think
Because
so.
he hit 2 in Miami. He only
Yeah.
hit 1. His first at bat in Baltimore, which was where he hit his first major league home run in 2011. He hit 1 there.
Yeah.
4th, he's got more opening day home runs than anybody else in Angel history.
Mm-hmm.
Hits the 2 in 1 game there in Miami. So let's go back real quick, because this is where we address jumping off the bridge way too soon. The Angels go in, they take on an Oriole team that not only like what they got on the field, it's a young, strong hitting team. And there's guys, my favorite, Anthony Santander, has gone from just being like a average guy. He's hitting home runs. He's on top of things. He's become a big part, a big cog in that wheel. And of course, you got Adley Rutschman, who is, if he stays on the path he's on, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
Oh, yeah.
Gunnar Henderson, last year's Rookie of the Year. You've got Cedric Mullins, who is one of my been one of my favorite players overall.
Yeah.
So you got these guys. You got a great looking team, and you're going up against a former Cy Young Award winner, first game out, in Corbin Burns.
Mm-hmm.
Took a little time off from LA Law to pitch, and he pitches fantastically against the Angels.
11 strikeouts.
Right. It was just crazy. Patrick Sandoval, not so much.
No, that was not.
His
That
first
was not good.
opening day start didn't look good. Gave up. He pitched an inning and 2/3.
16.2 ERA.
He gives up 5 total runs on 6 hits. Strikes out 2, walks 2, but the walks hurt him as well. And then it didn't help that Jose Suarez, who was supposed to be coming back and being strong, who we've had, has been a starter before, falls apart as well. So the pitching staff, terrible. Anthony Rendon, I think, in that game had an error, and it was a bad error as far as errors go.
Mm-hmm.
Wash wasn't having any of it when they called it out. He goes, what are you talking about, bad defense? And then he told him about, oh, well, sure, it's an error, one error, big deal. He goes, the reason we didn't win today and we lost 11-3 is we didn't pitch well and we didn't hit.
That's
Period.
simple. Yeah.
That one error was nothing.
Right.
In the big picture of things. And I think too, he's trying to protect Rendon because he wants to bring Rendon back. Because imagine if Rendon played at the level that he was playing up to 2019.
Oh, yeah.
Even some of what he did in 2020 in the short season, he was a little better. But since then, injuries, obviously, and then just bad attitude, I think, is worse than the injuries.
Yeah, I think so too.
So you go there, so you think, okay, it's only one game. It's opening day. Patrick Sandoval, his very first start, opening day start. His family flew in from Orange County.
Oh, yeah.
He's pitching for his favorite team, his hometown team, versus the Orioles.
In Camden Yards, which is a great stadium.
Right. It's a historic place. I mean, just Cal Ripken's exploits there alone. He broke the Ironman record there. Pretty incredible. So you kind of give them a break. Okay. For a long time, they only had the home run from Mike Trout. The other couple of rounds are kind of like garbage runs in the sense that it was later in the game. No big deal. We're moving on. Although Angels Nation is already, they've gone to the block and pulled the knife out.
They're ready. And interesting about this series is opening day on Thursday. So the Angels play on Thursday, but then they have Friday off.
Right.
And then they play Saturday.
Good Friday. So they got to be, that was probably good because it's like after that beating we took.
Yeah.
And you would hope that day off would allow them to reset.
Yes, but no.
That would be the wrong answer. Everything was okay. It was just 3-1 going into the bottom of the sixth inning. And then they gave up 9 runs.
9. I know, 9 runs. Like, what happened?
Griffin Canning. Didn't look good. Pitching once again. Bad pitching. Another error. Zach Neto. But it's only one, and things happen. Zach didn't come up with the ball. It's something that happens. So you go, okay. Taylor Ward, though, was the reason they got one. And then they end up getting some other runs later by, taking advantage of some mistakes. Joe Adele hit a triple, so that was good to see. And he even made a good play in the outfield. I was actually kind of surprised.
Yeah.
I think by looking at Joe's face, he was kind of surprised. Anyway, so, not to go too much game by game.
Yeah.
But they lose this one 13-4. Like I said, they got 3 runs in the top of the ninth, but they just couldn't get enough to go.
Yeah,
and
it was too late to try to rally.
Once again, not a lot of offense. This time it was Taylor Ward who provided most of that offense. Mike Trout didn't do anything. There just wasn't a lot. And, of course, all the questions are you going to stay with the same lineup after the first game to the second game?
Yeah.
He goes, it's 2 games, Wash said.
Yeah.
2 games. I don't know. This was the best that we had. These other players are going to get a chance. A lot of us said that the reason why like Aaron Hicks was in versus Joe Adele or, other players that could have been, getting some at bats were playing instead of. Like, why did they play Sano, who had a pretty good couple of games there? Is because they're
who knows?
The veterans, they think the veterans have been here on opening days. A little less. They're not as, I think that these guys are all playing for some. Nolan Shanuel continued his streak that he had gone through last season. I haven't looked to see if it's continued on since then when they went to Miami. But so they do that. 2 games, Easter Sunday, resurrection.
Yeah, really. I mean, so after the second game, Ron Washington calls a team meeting.
Right.
And people went crazy about that. Like,
after 2 games?
That's crazy. 2 games, what's going on? But I think it was wise because there have been a lot of attention on the Angels because Shohei isn't there anymore. And all the things that you mentioned at the beginning, all the players, all the positions that they didn't, they signed, but they could have signed this guy, but they didn't. All of that. What's Mike Trout going to do? And there is a lot of uncertainty, unknowns. And I think it was smart of Ron Washington to, especially after those losses. I mean, 11-3, 14, was it 14-3? Those
13-4,
are,
yeah.
13-4. I always get that. But those are tough losses.
And you come out and you get beat down real quick like that. And Mike Trout might be used to it. Anthony Rendon might be used to it.
He's definitely used to it.
Aaron Hicks, Brandon Drury.
Mm-hmm.
These are all guys. You look at Logan O'Hoppe, second year in the bigs. Nolan Shanuel, start of his second. He's not even had a full season in the bigs. Zach Neto, this is his first full season.
Right.
Even when you look at like Luis Rengifo, he's only been around 3-4 years now. He's still a young guy. Taylor Ward, another guy. He's broke out, has a little more of a veteran presence. He's still a young guy. Joe Adell, never had a full season.
Right.
So and the pitchers, with the exception of Tyler Anderson, all of their starters are guys who are, maybe 3 seasons in, 4 seasons at the most, maybe with Sandoval. These are young guys.
Yeah.
We're talking Sandoval, Griffith Canning, Reed Detmers, and Chase Silseth.
Yeah.
These guys are all young guys. He calls them in. He didn't have a meeting of, if we're going to keep playing like this, we might as well quit. He had a meeting to just reconfirm. And this is the funny part. All those people that are yelling that the season's over were the same ones that were yelling 2 games in, you already have a meeting. 2 games in, you already, at least you're not like the White Sox fans. The White Sox lost the first game. People were already posting they've been eliminated, which may very well be true.
Could be true. But I think I said it before. He told the team, trust the process. You're not going to win every game. It's like, and it's not going to be as bad as these first 2 games. But I think trusting the process, trusting each other, trusting your teammates, and moving forward. And I think that's a big shadow that the Angels have, is that Ohtani shadow, because it's there. And they have to show that they can play, that it wasn't Ohtani and the Angels. It's the Angels. And Ohtani is out of the picture now.
Plus, and I think this is a good thing, Ohtani leaves, you get a new manager, never had Ohtani.
Right.
And like I said, with the young team, you're learning new processes, a new pitching coach, who on paper and interviews sounds like he's on it. You've got new hitting coaches, you got new bullpen coaches. The bullpen looked pretty bad overall, with the exception of what's his name, Estevez, the closer. Yeah. He looked okay. So here we are thinking that the world's ending.
Yes.
After 2 games. And you know what? It felt like it did. As an Angels fan, it felt really bad because they were not competitive. They were just getting beat down. And you just like, here we go again. I think I answered somebody, Jeff Fletcher from the OC Register had written something, whatever part, to talk about a story he wrote about the game. And I wrote, I'm trying to remember what the deal was, but I just wrote, I guess all you can say is welcome to Anaheim, Wash, because this is what we've been living with. But the Angels have shown, maybe we start off and we lose. We've lost the whole first month almost.
Yeah.
And then won May.
Yeah.
And then May through June we were great, and then we were bad in July, or we were bad in August, and then we picked it up for a little bit. They're not, they and it's a matter of it all coming together. This is a team that I don't believe is going to win more than probably about 75 games. They're going to be closer like they did last year, and that's because of all the changes and everything. But the one thing that that we can look at is if everybody comes along, if they buy into the system, they play together, they have a chance.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
they don't make the playoffs, but maybe they get themselves to a place where they're confident, and maybe they do squeak in. I mean, the Asterix started the season here like 1-5 or 1-6 or something.
Yeah.
So they're down at the bottom. Of course, they're going to come back. They did the same, but see, they did the same thing last year, and by the end, they won it all.
Right. Yeah.
Or the West, not all of it, but they won the West.
Yeah.
When
I saw the Angels, the scores coming from the first two games, it was like, man, really? It's like,
yeah,
like going back to, the moving picture song, What About Me? But also thinking how Angels fans, are just, I don't know. You're kind of like Eeyore, right?
yeah.
Oh, well, they lost. That's the way it is. Just
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do a very good Eeyore impression, but
No, but that's okay.
I'll have to work on that for future.
Here's, like I said, here's the world falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
Enter Reed Detmers, throws 5 solid innings, strikes out 7, only gives up 1 run. The Angels win that finale in Baltimore 4-1. And since the meeting, they're undefeated. They swept the Marlins.
Yeah.
And in the final game of the set, Patrick Sandoval didn't look that bad. Definitely a lot better than what he looked in his initial outing, in his season debut. He went 1 2/3, I said. Now, in this game, he went like 5 2/3 in the final game versus Miami, and only gave up 2 runs and struck out 7.
Mm-hmm.
So the walks, he only had 2, but the walks are going to be something that whole staff has to watch, or it's going to come back and haunt them. But as they come together, this is a team that can actually be an above average team.
Mm-hmm.
Can they get above 500 and finish above 500? Absolutely. Will they? Remains to be seen. Pitching is going to be a big part of that. And then at some point, will Ron Washington say, this guy's not getting it done? And by this guy, I mean Tony Rendon.
Yeah.
Will they set him down and just, go be injured someplace else?
Yeah.
We don't really have
somebody trips him.
And they've got a kid, Fontenelle or something like that. That's a rookie, or not a rookie, but in the minors, that they gave extra at bats and extra chances to during spring training, instead of sending him down to the minors camp, just because they liked what they were seeing. So,
well, I would say too, Tyler Anderson in second game of the Miami series, he pitched to 7 scoreless innings. You can mention that, but that's really good because when he was with the Dodgers, he turned himself around and was so good. And then he wasn't doing the hokey pokey.
He did the hokey pokey in LA, but he couldn't do it down in Anaheim.
He couldn't do it. No, not last season. But it looks like he said mechanics, his body movement, something was off last season. He's figuring that out this season. That could be really good for the Angels to have a guy like Tyler Anderson, who we have seen do really well on the mound, and the other pitchers can feed off of that.
Right. Absolutely. And he pitched at the back end of the rotation. He wasn't the middle guy. He wasn't number 2. He was number 5.
Yeah.
So the Angels do have things to be excited about. They have a lot of issues they got to do. Still got an owner problem. Still got a GM issue.
Yeah.
When they changed things up, they still left the same bench coach in there instead of letting Wash get the guy that he wanted. So, there's a lot to be there. Like I said, a lot of questions there. But just like we talked about with the Dodgers, a lot of questions there. And the problem is that we can't quite put our finger on exactly where there's a hole in the dike. We don't know where to plug in.
Right.
And we won't know until something springs loose. The Angels, I think overall, they've just got a lot of young, hungry guys who can overachieve and get farther than you expect. But the nice thing about that is just like everybody talked about the Orioles last year, even the Diamondbacks, was these are teams who overachieved and they arrived early to these spots. So at least get them into the to a space where they're playing competitive baseball and see if they can get there. And if it doesn't feel like they can play competitive baseball, then I agree that it's time to see what you can get for Mike. And it's not about letting Mike go someplace else. It's about retooling your team.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I mean, I thought in the off season, I mean, there's a lot of talk with Mike Trout saying, yeah, I had a conversation with Perry and said, let's go after, I think it was JD Martinez. Let's get him. Mm-hmm. And nope, they didn't do that. Come on, don't you owe it to Mike Trout?
Even if you don't care about the Angel faithful, you owe Mike Trout something.
Yeah, something.
He's been here. He's been the face of your franchise for, 12 years now. Mm-hmm. He
is so, and he is faithful, right? Because he could totally be like, no, I'm gone. I am done with you. I'm done with this organization. But he could go back to Jersey and play for the Phillies or play for the Yankees.
Play golf.
Play golf on his course.
Golf course.
Yeah.
Designed by him and Tiger Woods.
Yeah. So do those things, but he does it. He sticks with it. He's, and it's like you owe him to get. All he's asking for was JD Martinez.
Right. That's not a big ask at all.
No.
All right. The Angels out of Miami heading home for their home opening day. And oddly enough, if the weather holds, could be a rain out. Because we're supposed to have storms here tomorrow, being Friday. And crazy with that. And now it maybe it won't, but there is an expectation. They've got the Red Sox, so the Red Sox won't think anything different. They get rain outs and snow outs and stuff like that.
Right, so, not a big deal.
Kind of interesting, though, the way the beginning of the season works for the Angels. They've got the Red Sox and the Rays at home. Then they go to Boston. And then they go to Tampa Bay.
Huh.
So they're going to get the Rays and the Red Sox out of the way right at the beginning of the season. They won't see them again for the rest of the season before they head to Cincinnati for their first interleague matchup of that, and then back home to take on the Orioles, which once again, they'll be done. They won't play the Orioles again. The way that it seems to be building up is that they're going to be just playing nationally, American League West teams all at the end of the season. Yeah, pretty much. They got the White Sox. They got Houston and Texas, which is kind of how they ended up last year almost, with the exception of the White Sox. So anyway, and remember, we're in the new in the same schedule we had last year. You're going to play everybody at least once. And chances are if you played them at home last year, you're going to play at their place this year.
Right.
Maybe. So did you have a player of the week for the Angels?
So I went with, and this might be just, I don't know. I kept going back and forth, but I went with Tyler Anderson because as a Dodger, he recreated himself. And so when he went to the Angels, I thought this is really good for the Angels. and it wasn't last season. However, he did sign a multi-year deal, so he is there. He, I think, is recreating himself this season. The 7 scoreless innings was just, I think, the tip of the iceberg of what he's going to do for the rest of the season.
It makes me wonder if maybe Barry Enright is talking and working with him, and he's seeing the things through him, and that he's more like, the Dodgers feel for it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And that's helped bring him back around. Rick Honeycutt and Mark Pryor, that have worked with Tyler Anderson. Maybe Barry Enright's better, when they're talking about it, than Matt Wise was last year. Honestly, his numbers weren't in the big picture over the games that he played. I went with Taylor Ward. He started off, had a couple of home runs. He was leading the team, kind of pushing the offense and put them in a good spot to inspire his teammates. And it seemed to work because, like I said, not only since that meeting, but he's played well, and they're undefeated since the meeting. They're 4-2 and in first place.
That's right.
Just like the Dodgers. And as a quick note, the Dodgers end up sweeping the Giants that game now in the books.
Yes.
Shohei Ohtani 2 for 4 with his first home run as a Dodger. So the Angels, like I said, coming home. These guys, it's good to see Taylor Ward back after he got hit in the face, broke that orbital bone there around his eye.
Scary.
And he said it's going to be interesting the first time I get a ball coming at me, but he seems to be back in there in the groove, and hopefully he can maintain. He's got 2 home runs on the season, 5 total hits, 6 RBIs. So he's in a good spot, I think. He's still got some room to go, but I think just from coming back, what he had to deal with at the end of last season, just like you're talking with Tyler Anderson and the change he made, he really showed up. Even Reed Detmers, who at that point had the best outing, Tyler Anderson, was good. All right, so we will talk more Angels and Dodgers. Let's go for a ride. Well, since we're in the beginning of the season, there's not a lot to talk about around baseball. Yankees beat up the Asterix in Houston. The Pirates undefeated as of now. I didn't look and see what they did today, but they started strong. The Tigers undefeated, but they had some weather delays, so they're a couple games behind everybody else. So you've got all that going on, and as the season goes, obviously right now it's too early to get too wrapped up in those things, but it's fun.
It's fun, but we already have had the first no-hitter of the season. And of course, it is the Asterix. They seem to have a penchant for doing that. They have a lot of them. But this is a guy that it was his 8th major league start, had never gone more than 6th innings, and throws a no-hitter.
That was amazing. I just got a notification that there was a no in progress, and so I went to MLB channel, and they were showing it, and so I got to see the end of it. And no hitters, whoever pitches them, are exciting.
Oh yeah,
he no hit, and the nice thing was that in the bottom of the ninth there, he faced like the heart of the lineup. He had George Springer, he had Vladdy Jr. These are guys who can put the ball out of the park, and could have wrecked the whole thing. And he did walk a couple of guys. George Springer, he had walked twice, and but he was able to get out of it, and the earliest no-hitter ever thrown in Major League history.
Yeah, Ronel Blanco.
Yep. So that was pretty cool. We've also had speaking of the Jays involved in one of two opening weekend brawls.
Yeah, changing they're going for a new look.
Maybe now let's back up a minute.
Okay.
One was a brawl. The other one was like two opposing factions on each on one side of the street, yelling at each other across the street. Like political rallies. My candidate's better than your candidate.
Right.
There was actually a hard slide into third. Get up, words exchanged there with the Jays, and the Jays player pushed the other player. I don't remember, who were they playing?
They were playing let's see here, a Tampa Bay.
Oh, they're playing the Rays. That's right. It was the Rays and the Jays.
The Rays and the Jays, and it was the bottom of the seventh, and the Rays shortstop Jose Caballero dropped a bunt and ended up getting all the way around the bases on an errant throw. And when he got to third base, he was tagged out by Bo Bichette. And then after getting tagged out, he ran through the base. Caballero ran through the base and ended up bumping into the Blue Jays pitcher, Genesis Cabrera. And Caballero was unhappy because he didn't like what Cabrera did, and words were exchanged, and then Cabrera shoved Caballero, and the pitches were cleared.
Right. That was actually closer to a brawl.
Yes.
All right. Let's go to New York. And you can be our reporter on the scene at Citi Field. In Queens, got the matchup of the Brewers and the Mets. And brand new Brewer, Rhys Hoskins, or Rice Hoskins. How did I say it? It's Rice.
Rice
says he had a great day.
Oh yeah, new team.
Right, used to be, and see, the Mets are familiar with him. Played for the Phillies for a long time, his whole career up to that point.
Yeah.
So now he's playing first base or DH, and I couldn't. I don't know which one he was doing that day for the Brewers. Had like a 4-for-4 day, and he's on first base. Doesn't really matter who's batting. Hits the ball to the shortstop, who throws to second baseman, Mets second baseman, Jeff McNeil.
Yeah, and it was a late slide by Hoskins. It wasn't a great slide. And he slides over the bag and into McNeil, but it wasn't intentional. And
it wasn't an illegal slide.
And it wasn't illegal. But he also did, as a base runner, he broke up what would have been a double play.
Right.
And that McNeil did not like that. And Hoskins is still on the ground. And he is pointing at him and yelling at him. And they get into it. And there was no shoving. No, that I recall.
No,
everybody was pretty, but the umpires pretty much, kept them apart. A lot of yelling.
So all the teams come out.
Yes.
And then they lined up like they were being announced out there. And the Brewers were out on the third base side. And the Mets were all out by second base.
Right.
And McNeil is, and then they're
They
cussing.
are still, yeah.
Motivational buzzwords are flying. And he
Yes.
is just saying, and even afterwards, McNeil's going on about how he's the dirtiest player ever. We've been dealing with this for years, blah, blah, blah. And then I saw a picture of McNeil sliding into a second baseman, and he is like 6 feet away from the base.
Yeah.
And he's sliding into the second baseman. McNeil's no one to talk. And if you look at it, part of the problem wasn't that Hoskins made contact with him. It's that even then he lost the ball. He didn't have control of the ball coming out. That was already in motion when Hoskins hit him. Hoskins did slide late, but he slid right at the bag.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't wait till he was at the bag. He just hit closer than normal.
Right. Yeah, and that's right. It was more on McNeil, who should have just been upset with himself that he didn't get the double play, but instead takes it out on Hoskins, and then Hoskins does the best thing and calls him a crybaby and does, like the tear, like he's wiping, like he's crying, so he puts his
the wah.
the wah. And then the next day, the Brewers dugout, they're still talking about it, and they're doing that motion whenever Jeff McNeil is announced. So
they said they were thinking that maybe that would be their new hit celebration. Teams do that. They point or whatever, that when they get on base, they'll do the cry thing.
I think that would be awesome. It's just funny. I think Jeff McNeil, I mean, he's he's a decent player, but
batting champion.
Yeah. But it's like, get over yourself. I mean, really, you're going to get all, and maybe it's because he's on the Mets. I mean, maybe that's the issue. And he just took it out on Hoskins because who else to take it out on? It's like, I'm on the Mets. I can't do a double play because this isn't the first time. I mean, this has happened to him before. So
for the record, the Mets are winless to start the season. The Pittsburgh Pirates did finally lose a game. Milwaukee has lost one game. So, it's not, but no wins for the Mets and no wins for the Marlins. They are the only winless teams thus far. Even the A's have a win. So, yeah, you know what? It's still early. There's so many things that are going to happen. So many things are going to change. Some of these guys, there's a couple teams that made some moves that will probably in the big picture help them, but it took them forever to make those moves, to sign these players. Cody Bellinger, you may have seen if you look at a lot of the social media with baseball, the Boris 3, they called him. But there were a lot of Boris's. JD Martinez was one as well, that were Boris clients that weren't signed. And here we are almost at the end of spring training. And these guys are still. Blake Snell, last year's Cy Young Award winner, was still unsigned. Part of it, I think, was because Boris, or between them, they overpriced him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Blake Snell wanted, and Cody Bellinger, $200 million for.
He wanted like almost 3.
Yeah, but I mean, so between
Blake
2
Snell
and 3. Yeah, Blake Snell, but even Cody Bellinger, $200 million, and he was comeback player of the year last year, but that doesn't. You say, oh, I was comeback player of the year, so now I'm worth this much. He still has a lot to prove.
Okay, Trevor Bauer. You've got to prove some other stuff.
Right.
I mean, obviously they're proving different things, but 1 year does not, as we've seen, a full career make. You were MVP at one time.
One time.
Now you are playing closer to like when you were MVP.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not the MVP anymore. So
Yeah. So you had Cody Bellinger, who, and I never thought he was going to go anywhere but back to Chicago, to the Cubs. So he signs there for 80 million. He has for what, 2-3 years, I think.
yeah, and he's got a couple of opt-outs.
He's going to opt
there.
out. But so he signs, but then you have Blake Snell, who, he wanted, it seemed like, 300, and then it went 300 million, and then it went down to like 220, and, but in that range. The Yankees, I think, said they had offered, they were interested, turned him down, because I think they only offered him like 160 or 168 or something like that. It might have been a little bit more, but turned him down. And that's the thing, is Blake Snell is not, yes, he won the Cy Young, but he won the Cy Young award because he had the lowest ERA of National League pitchers, and his ERA was still at 3.2, I think it was.
Right. Well,
which is
what was the thing? He's got he's got 2 more Cy Youngs than he has complete games.
Right. Yeah. So
he's never had a complete game.
No. So it's kind of like last year in the National League, Cy Young was, okay, this is who we got. And he had the better ERA. Because then you had Logan Webb, who had like a 3.25,
Right.
So it wasn't any better.
And I think just from watching the 2 of them pitch, I would have probably gone with Logan Webb myself.
Yeah. So Blake Snell, and then there was talk Blake Snell might be a Dodger. I knew that was never going to happen. He would not fit. He wouldn't fit into that clubhouse. And mainly, I think he has a grudge, not just because he played for the Padres, but because of what happened in the 2020 World Series.
Right. But we do know that a lot of times teams or agents will say the Dodgers are interested to jack things up or to get people. And they said that he was for a couple months, everybody, not just the quacks of our of baseball reporting like John Heyman and that.
Yeah.
We're all saying that he was connected to Anaheim.
Oh, right. That was all the way up until he did finally sign, and he did sign with the San Francisco Giants.
So there's Cody's off the board. Blake's finally off the board, and shortly thereafter, World Series hero pitcher Jordan Montgomery wasn't going back to the Rangers. The Rangers pretty much, shut down the money as far as what's available, and they let him go. He finally, and this is a good move for this team once he's ready to go, because it gives them something that probably would have won them the World Series last year. An extra pitcher.
Yes.
The D-backs, who a lot of people still believe could win the West, and even if they don't, they still think that they'll be the better team than the Dodgers as far as a chance at the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Especially Diamondback fans feel that.
Of course.
But Jordan Montgomery, you add him in there with that, the pitchers that they have, that allows you to push Fat back one.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Montgomery slides into the number 3 slot. Zach Gallen, who's the other guy? I can't remember. All of a sudden, I just lost his name. The other pitcher for the D-backs. But now you're looking at 3 or 4 pitchers, and in the top 3 top pitchers, and in a playoff matchup, that may be all you need, depending on how it all rolls and how But if you can play it right, 3 pitchers and 3 top pitchers is all you're going to need. So that really worked for them.
Merrill Kelly.
Merrill Kelly, that's right. So you got those guys. So that really worked out for them. The one thing that I'm seeing already this season that is going to be an issue for a lot of teams, especially the teams so far that people have high expectations for, is keeping their people off of the wheel.
Well, I know you're going to love this first one. So Sean Murphy of the Atlanta Braves is on the IL with a grade 1 left oblique strain.
Oblique, on my side. Oh, my side. Had to go with the classic to start the season.
That's right. Never can go wrong there. Red Sox Vaughn Grisham is on the IL with a hamstring injury. Third baseman Patrick Wisdom of the Chicago Cubs is on the IL with a back injury. Rockies pitcher Daniel Bard is on the 15-day IL with a knee strain. Don't know if that will really affect the Rockies or not. Justin Verlander started the season off on the IL with shoulder soreness. He is scheduled to start a rehab assignment this weekend. The Dodgers' Jason Hayward is on the 10-day IL with back tightness. Tyler McGill and Kodai Senga of the Mets, both pitchers, are on the 15-day IL with shoulder soreness.
Thus, Julio Teheran.
Right.
Big sign.
Yep. Center fielder Dylan Carlson of the Cardinals is on the 10-day IL with a shoulder injury. Michael Lorenzen, who was out there, pitched for the Phillies, got picked up signed with the Rangers. He's on the 15-day IL with right neck strain. And sticking with the Rangers, their third baseman, Josh Young, is on the IL, and he's expected to be out 8 to 10 weeks after undergoing surgery to repair a fractured wrist. During the surgery, they found there was more extensive damage than they thought, and so his recovery time is going to be a lot longer. So could be a blow for the Rangers.
Thought I had heard originally it was going to be a shorter, like 4 to 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden it's like 60-day IL kind of, thing. That could be, depending on how it goes, not a season ender, but it's definitely going to impact them and his season.
Oh, right.
Because after being out all that time, it's going to take him a little time to ramp back up. And
yeah, I mean, throwing, hitting, all involve your wrist.
All of the above. So that's it, huh?
That's
wow.
it.
That's a pretty full. We barely started the season. We already got that full. Can't wait to see how the rest of the season bears out.
I mean, we have the Will of IL started out with just the Will. We have the Tommy John wing. We have an oblique wing.
Right.
So, and hopefully it won't be, but we might have to have a shoulder.
Right. That's becoming
wing.
the bigger thing.
Yeah.
And
more so than the forearms.
Shoulders are tending to be a bigger issue in coming back.
Yeah.
Than the elbow issues have been.
Yeah, most definitely. So you keep an eye on this. I always thought that it was more, especially with the pitchers, it's like, the pitch clock, I think everybody's kind of gotten used to, but now they're coming out and saying it's that sweeper that you're seeing more injuries to the pitchers. So.
Right. So that's just the beginning.
Just the beginning.
Where do we go from here? And then on a little side note, no bullpen cart available today. They're still washing it, getting it all ready for the season. And they were complacent because they were thinking it was supposed to be ready last week. And when I told them they were fine, they just goofed off and then forgot that they had to have it ready for today's episode.
Yeah, so they're doing the detailing for free.
By they, I mean me. So So that's going to wrap up the first episode of the 5th season of Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. Like I said, we were a little rusty when we started, but now that we're getting juices are flowing again, I think that next week should be worse than this. I mean, should be a better episode than this week's. So we hope that you can find some time to schedule in a listen. Whether it be this one, whether it be past episodes, we got 4 past seasons worth, over 100 episodes that you can go back and listen to see what we thought about things that happened as far back as 2020, as far as baseball goes, especially with the Dodgers and the Angels. Once again, you can find us on social media, Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A.
And on Instagram and Facebook at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And potentially coming to other locations, social media-wise, soon. Who knows? Not even we know. It's a mystery.
What's behind the curtain? We will find out in season 5.
Exactly. All right. So until next time, watch some baseball, go see some live baseball, and don't forget to swing away.